historical conditions. Okay, the idea that the meaning of an utterance, or a text is what the speaker had in mind, has to be destroyed. We don't know. When I write something, I look for my own self in that. The writer is perhaps not a good person to talk about his or her own work. मोतबर नहीं है उसका कहना, ठीक है? So it has been too long that we have done this, and unfortunately, we had a centennial year for Faiz Sahab, and I did not see a thing which really talks about his poetics in a sustained discourse. There may have been exceptions, and there may have been one or two articles here and there, but a sustained discourse on his poetics is still very much lacking. And the other prong, the other side dimension of what I'm saying is that Urdu literature, and I'm supposed to be talking about the shifting paradigms of Urdu literature. Urdu literature, appreciation and understanding of the Urdu literature will only live at best at the periphery, and will hardly survive till it has some relevance to contemporary world literature. It will not survive. So one has to bring it, reposition it, rehabilitate it, and it is not really an act of dislocating it. No, it is an act of relocating it, because, as I've said, that there has been historical, and looking at world history, I'm looking at world civilization, there has been a rupture, and that rupture has severed links with a continuity of the tradition, and if you recover it, you will see that these attitudes are really, important even within the context of Urdu, Persian, and Arabic poetry. I think perhaps I should stop here, and please provoke me to say more. Even though there was a confusion about whether I should be speaking in English or in Urdu, initially Asif Farooqi told me to do it in English, and then I found out that it is not in English and so on. So we decided to do it in English, but it does not mean at all that you cannot comment in Urdu, and it does not mean, I hope, that I won't be able to answer you in Urdu. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. I think that we are a bit short on time, so I'm just going to cut my questions out, and I'm just going to go directly to the audience. Umar Memon Saab has a question here. Can we have Lionel? Can we have a mic, please? Memon Saab, I think everyone should benefit from your question.
Yes, anyone should benefit.
I was saying that I have a very dense mind, and things don't sink in.
Sir, you are not audible.
Can you turn on the mic, please? I think that the mic's not turned on.
Speak into the mic.
No, I think.
Mic is not on.
Is it turned on?
Is it on?
ऊपर हाँ ठीक है.
It is on.
तो अब तो चीखना पड़ेगा. Oh boy. Well, you see, my personal problem is, although I see the validity of Gahe Gahe Baz Khan in Qissa Parinara, first of all, I have difficulty in relating what seem to be 3 points that your observation. One seems to deal with globalization. भाई मैं क्या करूं फिर मैं अब
Memon Saab यहाँ.
You have made a joke out of it.
No, not at all, not at all. Please.
Okay, so all right. Yeah, ठीक है? Well, the thing is this, that the 3 points, and then you talk about autonomy of literature. Now, this is an extremely general sort of thing, and I can see lots of shakhsane branching out of these ideas. And I'm not quite able to interconnect them, to arrive at some very tangible, um, well, I don't know whether you would like to call it presentation or something that is gelled properly, and then we can take matters from that point on. These are exceedingly general observations, and when you were quoting Dickens, I was thinking, well, why not quote from a contemporary Persian critic? I don't remember the name, but I can always send, who has written a whole book in which he is analyzing Shahnameh, and he says that the notion of epic as it is developed in the West simply will not apply. You have to generate your own critical apparatus by delving into the thing itself, which actually happens with all literature, criticism, and what you call the architectonics, whereby you put together things. They are always derivative and later than the piece of writing. You derive them from there. Now the point is this, that this has been said millions of times, and so what's the point of saying them all again? What I would have thought, just one little piece, and analyzing it, to somehow contextualize your main arguments by showing us what precisely is at stake. Otherwise, it's a very nice presentation with a little bit of poetry, with a little bit of fast thrown in for good measure, and Noon Mim Rashid, and what have you. But then we all go away without any overarching notion of what it is that we have gathered to discuss. So my problem was basically this. Now, autonomy of literature also raises certain issues, whether you are dealing with poetry or you are dealing with prose. When you are dealing with poetry, and then you also want that we cannot live in isolation with the rest of the world, the problem is this, that your ghazal tradition is an entirely different poetics. And you can go further back. In your argument, it starts with Plato, for instance, and Plato was talking about reality and poetry, two times removed from reality. So it's a useless form. But he thought that poetry's purpose was to, represent reality. That was not ever the case with the Muslim Islamic cultural tradition, starting with the Quran, where you have a famous line that the poets are a people who wander into every valley and they say things which they do not do. Now, from a moral point of view, when you are looking from the early Islamic point of view, you see that society needs more than anything else some way to build it. So obviously poetry is of no use there. But negatively, it is also giving you the best definition of what poetry is all about. Maximum freedom to wander into imagination. So the Arabs or the Persians or later our writers never took ghazal to be representing any kind of reality. Its analog is in the mind. It's never out there. Then there is a problem of language. So I can go on, but this is not my purpose. Really, what I would have loved to see is just one short story, and let us see how it doesn't work, or how does it work, or maybe a ghazal, and then see from there whether its autonomy has been compromised, whether it relates to the world.
Mehman Saab, thank you. I think that point is very well taken. I mean, you may keep sitting here, actually.
No, I don't have to sit here. I'll take my place.
Okay, no, I mean, your place is actually here. No. I should be the one who's sitting there, who should be there. No, thank you. I think that what Mehman Saab, the point is actually very important. And I think it connects back to what, in fact, Dr. Noman was saying earlier on, is precisely that space for poetry to be treated as imagination is shrinking. And I think that that's what Dr. Noman ul Haq was contesting. Let's just go back to the audience. Is there somebody who can take around the mics, please? Lionel, are you here still? You're not here. Gentlemen, sure. Okay, can I request you all to sort of make it into questions rather than Mehman Saab obviously is an exception because Mehman Saab is.
Dr. Noman, you have reservations with the word postmodernism, and you're rightly so. Can you please explain it to us? Exactly what is it, or what should it be? Thank you.
Well, this is a question I really cannot possibly answer. Some of the things I have said, for example, the fact that if you look at a novel and consider it to be the intention of the author, if you relate it to particular specific historical circumstances in which the novel is written, if you consider the eye of the novel as the author of the novel, if you fix the meaning of the words with what they signify, all of these things are challenged in postmodernist thinking. There are notions which are constructed, and then we don't deal with these notions. So this is part of the attitude that what I call the autonomy is also part of that you have to consider a narrative on its own terms. A narrative is its own reference. It has no reference to the outside world. So it is this kind of thing. But to answer the question fully will not be possible. But sort of what I have done myself, if you like, what I have done myself is itself in the same vein of how postmodernists speak.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a question from the back, please?
Presentation, and I was just reflecting when you were saying that Faiz ko kahin celebrate nahi kiya gaya. When I enter here, I saw Charles Dickens quotations everywhere. Why not Faiz? Why not Ghalib? And why not other poets and contemporary poets and writers' quotations there? So it enlightened our hearts. And you were talking about how to, create a position of art literature in contemporary world. I think our Persian literature, Urdu literature, Arabic literature to be alive. Because our children can read Urdu books in English and English authors, Laila Waddimna and other Persian thoughts and similes, they're unaware. Our curriculum is empty from those poets and those. So we can think, please? My question is, rather extension of what contemporary alive, how to alive contemporary literature, that we need to go at grassroots level, curriculum level, and to be taught at grassroots level, school level, and thinking, imagination to be alive of our children. Without that, it's not possible.
Somebody else has a question? Question, please.
Dr. Saab, thank you for your presentation. I just want to ask about what you exactly mean by poetics of Faiz, or the word poetics. Are you referring to the sacred dimension of the poetry as opposed to the historical, secular interpretation of poetry?
With that, I think that, if you can answer that question along with the one that the gentleman raised earlier about why is the session in English if it's about India.
Was there a question about why it is in English?
Yes, I think almost it was that question, and I was going to anticipate that. There is always that question, it has to be there. And,
Okay. Okay. Yes. Anyway, the... Some recommendation for the children? Yeah, for the children. For new readers. Yes. Recommend some books. Yes. Well, a very quick answer to your question concerning the children is that we have to make Urdu relevant to their lives, to the times. And the way Urdu is presented is really very archaic. People still are operating in sort of pre-modern, knowledge background, and when they speak to bright students, they consider them, totally unaware. So they are unimpressed. I mean, the interest of young people. Let me tell you before, we are overjoyed. We must understand that the interest of young people in Urdu is largely of a romantic kind. They just love good poetry, the rhythmic structure, Bollywood, they send messages on their mobile phones, but the engagement is romantic. It has to be more than that. It has to be substantive. It has to be part of the thrust of their thought. It should have some relevance to economic theories and to scientific theories and so on and so forth. So relevance of it is very important. So our critics have to become themselves up to date and not talk about galenic medicine in talking about Ghalib. जिगर की उर्दू में इस्तेलाह इस वजह से है कि जिगर में हर लहजा खून बनता रहता है, which is absurd. This is not true. If a medical student hears it, he will totally reject it कि बाबा जी ने शेर तो अच्छे पढ़े मगर कख पता नहीं, आता बाता कुछ नहीं बेचारे को. This is the attitude they develop. They see the publication of books is very relevant here in the case of Oxford University Press, that the publication of books that are free of error, that you can read, that the kids can hold in hand and enjoy. When I was growing up, my house had, I don't know how many editions of Diwan Ghalib, but they were all so badly printed that I could not read them. When I went to England and I got hold of Iqbal was very careful in the way his books were published, and I could read Iqbal, and once I read it that day and this day. So it is very important. These are some of the part of my quick answers. Now, as for the poetics, this is an important question. I think that one must not be talking about secular religious. As I said, it is a self-perpetuating world where imageries, rhythmic structures, its relationship with the poetic tradition. In what way is Ghalib related, for example, to Wali and Baidil and so on? That the play of metaphors. Okay, the meaning creation, what we call mazmu afrini, what we call mani afrini, creation of meanings and creations of subject. This is what I'm talking about. These are the things that have not been talked about in the case of Faz. He was reduced to his ideology, and my position is, and you may disagree, you have every right to disagree with me, is